Podcast number two. Podcast number two. Special guest in the building. We live. We in Brickell. You know what I mean? We making moves. All right. Oh y'all. Oh damn. I'm looking at this like did it switch? This is in reverse. Anyways, we like staring at each other. Yo. So, like I said, momentum. There's something about momentum that is very important. So we just did the podcast, and we just ran down to Brickell to connect. Right. Mm-hmm. These are how connections are made. Right. I want to introduce myself. Welcome back to the channel. Right, for the podcast that I haven't named just yet. I'm gonna say the name later, but for now, we just diving straight into it. Right. Ultimately, my name is Ty. I go by the Lead King 850. Right.
What's good? I'm Renee. I go by Renee Vasquez, 44 right now.
And today we have an extremely special guest. Like I said, the type of people I'm going to bring on this podcast are people that I can inspire and enlighten and educate, and the people that can do the same for me, that I can learn from, the people that are doing exactly what I want to be doing, what I've been working up to be doing and accomplishing. You know, these people have already accomplished that on some level that's way above where I've achieved so far. So, you know, we're just going to have a discussion. You better, take some notes on whatever you can take notes on, because he going to tell his story on his come up, and that's how you learn, and that's confirmation that you can accomplish the same type of things, right? So I would like to introduce Tosin. You know what I'm saying? You can say your full name properly.
So. Yeah, what's up, man? My name is Tosin Oduwale.
Right.
Born and raised St. Louis, Missouri. Made into a man in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. Living in Miami right now. So that's what's up. That's what we're right now.
Dope. You can show his Instagram real quick. You know what I'm saying? That's how you can follow him.
Appreciate it.
And yeah, we really connected like on the gram. You know what I mean? Because when you can switch back. Long story short, when you networking, when you have some sort of momentum and you doing good work, right? People gonna see it. You know, you following the right people, right? He just got off the phone with Sierra, right?
Yeah.
And then there was something going on with Poppy Chulo. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like you're about to do a whole lot of name dropping, because like like once you start to elevate, you realize it's not that many people up there. You know what I'm saying? So the names just keep getting familiar and familiar. You know what I mean? Like, the people that's really out here in this industry doing something and making moves, like, you might run into them if you keep that momentum. You know what I mean? But long story short, I want to get into his story on how he came up in this game. How has he accomplished my goals, the stuff that I've been trying to do for the last, X how many years, right? So I'm focused on like business funding and getting people the funding that they need to chase their dreams without having to work a job and save up that capital, right? And ultimately, if you follow my page, you know that I broker out cars, right? Because I connect with people like him that got a whole fleet of cars, right? That got a whole fleet of cars, and you can be a broker before you become the fleet owner. You know what I mean? And there's ways to go about getting a bunch of cars. You can get a bunch of cars in your personal name, or you can get a bunch of cars under your business. However you do it, there's different strategies to go about it. But on your way up, you connect with people like him, right? And you know what I mean? And then you can pretty much network, promote the cars, and then learn the business. So I want to ask you, I'll let you take the mic now. How did you even get started? What was it? We can take it all the way back.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
We got to.
Where does your story even begin? You know what I'm saying? Did you ever have a job, or how did it start for you?
Yeah, so I had a job. Yeah, I had several jobs, man. Back in college, I was in college. When I was done, 2011, business administration degree or whatever. You know, a major in entrepreneurship. With college, I thought that going to college and getting an entrepreneurship major and, getting a degree in business administration, that was what I needed to be, like a businessman, right? I always wanted to be a businessman. And then I realized that what they teach you in those courses and those classes is not what real business is. The day I've recognized is that I had a professor in a business marketing class. And she was telling us about business marketing, how to market your business. And she was talking about newspaper and magazine ads. And I said to myself, hold on now, this is 2011. nobody's reading. Like that can't be the way you grow your business now in this particular market.
Right.
And so at that particular time, I owned a sports bar in New York in the East Village called Durden Bar.
During college?
Yeah, during college.
You owned?
I owned a sports bar. Yeah.
You already had something.
Yeah, but
Wait,
okay, so I got to go back before then.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
So
that's not easy.
So I always wanted to be in business, but at that particular time, capital was my issue. I didn't have no money. And so what I learned is that you have to come up with business plans, projections, so that you can get people to say, okay, I have some capital. I'll give it to you and let you deploy it into the market.
Because it's out there.
It's out there. There's a ton of people that are doctors, lawyers. Maybe they have a 9-to-5 they've been doing for 20, 30 years. But that's what they know. They know being a doctor or a lawyer. They don't know what it's like to run a bar or a nightclub or a car rental company or whatever. But they have excess capital that they want to deploy out there and have it make a return for them without them having to learn new skills or learn new things. Right? So, excuse me. So it's about learning how do you like pique their interest and get them to want to place that capital with you.
Right.
And so that was around the same time I started my real estate career, where I was doing a lot of wholesaling. I made a lot of relationships with investors that were trying to buy apartment buildings in Essex County, New Jersey. So after doing a ton of deals for them or helping them get a ton of deals and making like $2,000, $3,000.
Just brokering.
I wasn't making a lot of money wholesaling. My first wholesale deal I made like $750.
But that was like where it all started for you?
That was where it all started, because it's the relationship.
Right.
It's the relationship that leads. That's the seed that when you water it, it grows into other things.
Right.
So my first investor, his name is Edgar Montalvo, Argentinian man.
Right.
We actually just spoke today via text for the first time like 9 years. And he didn't know I moved to Miami, and he was looking to Miami. But that first deal that I got for him was a townhouse in Orange, New Jersey. He was a contractor. He didn't know fix and flip or whatever, but he's like, yo, I've been a contractor. I'm doing all these deals for other investors. I want to get into that game. So I said, okay, I hope you find some deals. I found him a townhouse, negotiated the price down to $42,000. We got it for $42,000. During that renovation, of which, I document everything. So I have like video of that whole project. He had a family emergency back in Argentina. And so he had to leave for like 3 months. And so he says, hey, I got to go. Why don't you be the project manager for this flip while I'm in Argentina? And so I'm like, no problem.
Like he made you the contractor now?
He basically he made me the project manager. So he had his contractors, his workers, but he basically told them, okay, you answer to Tosin for the next 90 days because I'm going to be gone. So all that was paid for, and it was kind of just me just popping up every 2-3 days, making sure we was on schedule with the construction schedule, making sure if the roof's supposed to come down, drywall's supposed to go up. I'm just there to just make sure that everything is on schedule. And so in me documenting that entire process, I had my camera phone, I had a DSLR, I'm recording everything. Then I was able to, I started a web series called The Daily Hustle, which was focused on like my real estate endeavors and me hopping into the real estate business and like trying to learn everything and wanting to show people the good, the bad, the ugly, et cetera, et cetera.
Documenting the process.
Correct.
Is this like a video format, like a YouTube channel?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. I've been on YouTube since 2007. You can go back to 2007, see everything I've ever done.
What's the name of the channel?
So if you just type in Tosin314 on YouTube, it'll bring up everything.
Okay.
And it's the Daily Hustle web series, Daily Hustle podcast, whatever. It's gonna pop up. Okay. So in me kind of documenting that entire process and having the videos, I was kind of using that as like a marketing thing for myself. So to other investors that I'll try to reach out to, I say, hey, look what I did for Mr. Montalvo. Look at the returns. We sold that property for $131,000. $42,000 was the purchase price. We put $35,000 into the renovations. So roughly was in for about $75,000 to $80,000 with closing costs, permits, etc. It sold for $131,000. So that's a pretty decent return. So I was using that. Now, those aren't typical returns. Those don't happen every day. Right. But I said, yo, I'm going to pump this to everywhere so people can see when I'm at my best, this is what I do. Right. Exactly. And so that kind of blew up my profile in the Northeast, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, even states. I'd never been to Rhode Island at that time. I had never been to Connecticut at that time.
Yeah.
And so when I was looking at the sports bar in New York, so I had a job at that time. I was working for a catering company in Jersey City called Orange and Olive, and I was a cook. So I would cook the steaks, cut the avocados, all that stuff.
Right.
We had one client called Palantir. Palantir is a company that's worth, I think, $9 billion. They're a technology company. They're the ones that had the software that law enforcement used to catch Osama bin Laden. Google it. Palantir did that.
One
So,
second.
yeah.
So I want.
Go ahead.
I want
Go ahead.
people to be able to visualize, follow along. Hold on 1 second. Don't switch until.
For sure.
Let me try and get this on. So I want people. You said the daily hustle.
Daily Hustle, yeah.
Adjust it and take out the V.
Well, if you type Daily Hustle Tosin or Tosin 314, it should pop up.
Okay.
TOSIN. There you go. And it should pop up like that. There you go. So all those
So
videos
you can
I was in college.
switch.
I was in college during that. I was still in college. Let's say 5 years ago. If you scroll down, some of that is newer stuff. That one, I did that in the library in the campus I was at. I went to Kane University in Union, New Jersey.
Yeah, because I provide people like the links, you know what I'm saying? I tell them exactly how to get to it, no guesswork, right?
Yeah.
Wow. All right, so you're coming up wholesaling, but
Yep.
you're working in the
Catering
restaurant-
company,
catering
yeah.
company.
Cooking food and delivering the food to Palantir every morning. My morning started at 6 a.m. I had to get to work at 5:30. 6 a.m. I drive a Sprinter van full of all the food because we would provide their breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the entire company. It was like 300 people. So 6 a.m. I'm driving it over there. I'm lugging a huge heated fridge up an elevator, setting up all the food, putting all the pans out, making sure that the Palantir employees had all their food, and I did that 3 times during that day. So I was going back and forth from Jersey City to New York 3 times a day for 2 years, delivering food.
Wait, 3 times a day for 2 years?
3 times a day, back and forth through the Highland Tunnel. 12-hour days, 13-hour days for 2 years. You feel me? So in that time, working that job, still wholesaling on the side, I was lucky enough to meet the CEO of Palantir,
Right.
Dr. Karp, Alex Karp. He's the one that runs the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? You drink beers with him. We would sit there and talk, and I would look at him, and like when you sit with a billionaire, there's certain ideas you have of what a uber rich person is, and you don't know that they're regular people. Mm-hmm. It's like you're drinking Sierra Nevada beer with a person that's worth $8 billion, with somebody who's worth more than you've ever even could conceive, and he's a regular guy. He's just trying to grow his business.
Right.
And so just sitting with him, maybe once a week, he'd come down and drink beers with us, kick it with us or whatever. You get to sneak in little questions here or there. You don't want to seem too thirsty. You don't want to seem so slow. You just let it kind of just like naturally just progress. And if you could sneak a question in there or whatever, then you can.
Right.
So with me kind of documenting all this stuff and putting it out on YouTube, going back 10, 12, 13 years, that when I was looking at the sports bar in the East Village, which when I was working at that catering company, our head cook, whose name was Kenny, he's the one that brought that opportunity to me.
Right.
He says, "Hey, Tosin, man, like I know you don't work here anymore because I quit." He's like, "I know you don't work here anymore. You jumping straight into real estate. There's an opportunity for us to buy a bar in New York, but we need X amount of dollars to get it." And I'm like, "I bet." So I go to the network and I'm saying, "Yo, I need some bread." And some investors in Connecticut who had never met me face to face. To this day, I've never seen them face to face. It was all through email, text message, and phone calls. I told them I needed a 6-figure investment as the down payment to buy this bar. They wired it to me. So we got the bar.
Wait, we're gonna slow it down.
Go ahead.
I'm
Let's
following
get into
you.
it.
I'm actually paying attention to what I'm listening to. So right, so you had quit. There's a lot of people that's trying to quit their jobs. They don't have the confidence to do so until like they kind of just get fired.
Yeah.
So like, where were you at? Where was your headspace to actually leave? Was the wholesaling actually?
Nah, it wasn't taking off. It was the reason why I quit is because my boss at that time, I'm gonna say his name. His name was Sam Furtick, and he was younger than me. He's like 6 years younger than me. Both of my bosses were 6-7 years younger than me. and they were doing very, very well off of our work, off of our backs. And they started, he started getting kind of cocky, and he just he said some things to me one day. He was treating me kind of crazy, and as him trying to punish me, he was like, "Yeah, tomorrow don't come in. Just take off tomorrow."
And that's taking away from your hours. That's
taking away from my hours, taking away
plate.
from my money, and I'm like, it's like, who the can I curse?
Yeah,
I was like, yo, yours. Like, in my mind, I'm like, yo, who the fuck do you think you are? Like, I said, okay, I'm not coming back, motherfucker.
Right.
Like, you gonna tell me to take the day off? Then today is the last day you ever gonna see me.
Right.
And so that was what made me say, okay, you made a big step, boy. You jumped out there like you're the big boss man.
Right.
And you
jumped
not.
off the cliff.
And you not.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, let me go into all my contacts and see who I can get so I can hop on this opportunity that Kenny brought to me, because Kenny was still working there.
Okay.
And so we was able to raise the money. We put that payment down. We got access. So our agreement was that I would have 90% of the revenue of the kitchen sales of that bar. The alcohol sales would stay with the other partners, with the two brothers that actually started the bar.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
And I want to slow it down too, because it's like you had a business plan. They're not just gonna wire you 100 racks. Like,
Nah.
You had a business plan that they were willing to say yes to.
Correct.
All right, cool. And then did you have a business consultant to look over your business plan?
No, I hadn't. At that time, to be honest, like, I was getting a lot of my knowledge, education, and mentorship off the internet. So like YouTube. I've been on YouTube since 2007. That's really where I got everything. So of course, YouTube is not going to be 100% accurate and give you everything you need, but it's all I had at the time. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to roll the dice with what I can get off the internet. And so I got a business plan template off the internet, Googled it. I looked at, the market of the East Village. NYU, New York University, was 1.5 miles away. So I'm looking at, okay, majority of our customers are going to be NYU students, college students. That's an Ivy League school.
Right.
They spend a lot of money going out, partying. A lot of them, for the most part, come from rich families, etc. So I'm like, okay, so we'll have a marketing plan or business plan that's targeting college students that are 1.5 miles away.
Right.
And we're in New York City, the East Village. Like, this is the heart of where everything is for the city. So that was what kind of made the investors say, you know what, we feel that. We gonna fuck with that. We gonna rock with that. And so that was how I got them to give me the money. Now, this was in January of 2016 when I got the cash, I got the wire, and that's when we came into Durden Bar in the East Village. So January is the beginning of the semester. So the beginning of the semester in any college, nobody's serious. Everybody kicking it, partying, chilling, doing their thing. So the first month from like January to February, March, it was amazing. Like, people coming in, we're having $3,000, $4,000 nights. It's great. The one thing that I didn't anticipate is that, well, Ivy League schools, when midterms come around, do you know what they do?
They get wired in.
They study.
Right.
I didn't go to Ivy League school. I went to Kane University. That's a state school.
Right.
We party 24/7, whether it's midterms, finals. We don't give a fuck.
Right.
Ivy League schools, when it comes to midterms, finals, they study. So when midterms came around, revenue. Damn. But I still got to pay $2,000 a month for my gas bill. I still got to break Kenny off because he's the head chef. He's the head cook. He's bringing in sous chefs. A sous chef is basically a chef that's under the head chef. He's bringing them in to help him with the orders or whatever. Right. Still got to break them off. Still got to pay them. I still got to go to Restaurant Depot in the Bronx and buy $1,000 worth of ground beef, $400 worth of lettuce, $100 worth of tomatoes. And you can't keep that forever. In New York, if you don't sell that food within 3 or 4 days, you got to toss it out. Because if you don't, and it's a little brown or whatever, your rating, your A rating gonna go to a B, to a C, to a D, and now nobody comes in your shit.
Right.
So it was kind of like I had, with me taking on 90% of the restaurant side of the business and getting 90% of those profits, but there was a whole bunch that came with that. But alcohol, which is what my partners had 100% of, alcohol doesn't spoil, bruh.
Right. Okay.
It don't spoil. You don't need to manage it. It could sit in the basement in the alcohol room for whiskey is not gonna expire.
Age.
The more it ages, the better it fucking gets.
Right.
So
exactly,
they weren't coming in every day like me.
Yeah.
They'd come in every 4-5 days, come in, get a beer, watch everything, go home. So I had to I was telling my older brother, and my older brother's in real estate. He's kind of like my mentor, my guidance, whatever. So I was telling him, I was like, just kind of telling him what I was going through. And I told him, I was like, yo, I have two options. I can ride this out through the semester and hope that during the summer I get summer traffic, or the brothers that were my partners made me an offer. They say, yo, we'll buy your percentage back. And I would break even on the investment, and then anything I made during that time I would keep. But I would break even and I would just be gone. And so I was thinking for a few days. I was like, do I want to take that risk of riding out through the semester, go to the summer? But then I started thinking, Ivy League schools, a lot of those students are not from the state where they go to school. They're from all over the country.
Right.
So when the semester's over, they go back home for the summer.
Right.
They're from Cali, Texas, wherever. They're not from New York.
Right.
So I told myself, I said, you know what? I'm gonna just go ahead and sell it back to them, man. I could pay off my investors. You know, all the money I made in the interim I get to keep, and then it's an experience, and I could just keep it pushing. But however, during that whole process, like I said, I always document everything. I always had cameras, pictures, everything. So I was able to use that whole entire process and that experience moving forward to now show investors and other people that not only am I a real estate investor, wholesaler, can I help you find deals, but I can also help you find businesses that are profitable. And I actually have proof to show you. I'm not just talking. It's not just a mouthpiece.
Right.
This is the day when we had, you know, a $8,000 night. And I can show you.
Right.
You know, so that was kind of how I had started. And then really just got into a space where I was like, you know, real estate is my bread and butter. That's my first love. I just bought a 22 unit in Montgomery, Alabama last year. All the stuff I owned in New Jersey, I sold in 2020 because I bought it for next to nothing in like 2015. And in those 5 years, the appreciation was crazy. I made a 75x return on the last property I sold in Newark, New Jersey. So I liquidated everything there so I could have money to focus on Chicago and the South where there's better returns. Because the Northeast, there's not really the best returns now. You know, we're looking at like 2% returns, 5% returns. It wasn't like that in 2015.
Right.
And so I was like, you know what? Now's the time to kind of actualize my gains, take those funds and go into another market.
I mean, yeah, you're not gonna actually have to take that hit, but
Correct.
you're just moving to the where it's more worth it.
You're just placing capital. It's all about deployment of capital in the market. And one thing that I think God gave me as a gift is being able to like decipher and find out what markets to place capital. And so when you're going into business, you got to find what is your proprietary factor. And I got this from my older brother. He said, your proprietary factor. Proprietary means unique to you.
Exactly.
What is the thing that you can do that nobody else can do?
Right.
And look, I mean, I've never been the smartest person ever. I've never been the sharpest match or whatever the terminology is, sharpest needle in a bunch or whatever the fuck it is. But I knew that when it came to like finding markets where you can put money in and get good returns, that was something I knew how to do. And so I kind of just doubled down on that, and that was where I got into the whole space of being able to raise capital from other investors to put
to
in
allocate
deals.
it to where you
Correct.
you saw a need.
Yeah, so 2017, I packed up and moved away from New Jersey, moved down to Atlanta, Georgia.
All right, all right, 1 second. So I want to kind of break that down, like the things that are familiar from your story that I hear very often in other people's stories, right? So I'm gonna mention this, right? Somebody recently told me that they had a business, a multi-million-dollar business fail in their 20s.
Yeah.
And that made me realize that I'm not failing fast enough. I'm not trying hard enough. You know what I'm saying? Because that was it when they were younger.
Yeah.
Imagine losing millions of dollars, right? And then you bounce back from it.
Yep.
And it clicked in my head like, what am I out here doing for real?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, as motivated and driven as I am, it's just like in my 20s, you know what I mean? What am I gonna say in my 30s?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That like I want to be able to say, you know what I'm saying? I mean, God forbid I fail, but it's just like you know what I'm saying? What I noticed from that story was like things usually work themselves out if they live to tell the story how they lost a multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah.
So
Ain't the end of the
you,
world,
in your
right?
situation, like, if people try to imagine like worst case scenario, like you got bought out, you broke even or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you live to tell the story.
You gain that
You know what I'm
wisdom
saying?
and the experience and all that.
So the thing about that is that like, so your friend that lost multi-millions in his 20s, right?
And now he bounced back and making
bounced back.
$2 million a year.
Do you know why he was able to bounce back? Is because he actually has the experience of being in that industry. It doesn't matter if you won or lost. You were there. If we are in the Super Bowl and we're playing against each other, it doesn't matter who wins. We both was in the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
So that shows that we are deserving of being at this level.
Play at that
Exactly.
level.
Yeah, it's like to lose. I remember one week I lost like $17,000 in 1 week.
That probably hurt.
Yeah, it did. It did hurt, but it came quickly and it went out kind of quickly.
Yeah.
Right? Not because I was good at managing money and saving money, but I had a lapse in judgment. The momentum of, that those 2 weeks was something that wasn't regular.
Yeah.
But I didn't sweat it, you know what I'm saying? Because I was like, oh, if I can lose that money, I can make it because I obviously lost it.
Correct.
So that's my mentality. Like, if I can lose it, I made it. You know what I'm saying? So at this point, it's just like, if you have the ability to make it, you know what I'm saying, keep going and keep pushing forward and don't sweat it. And actually losing that money, I got into wholesalers trying to make it back.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I got into wholesaler like, no, I'm going to make this money back. I'm going to make the, you know what I'm saying? Like, I turned off about the idea of working a job because it's like, I didn't make that from working a job. I made that from networking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I made that from, like, that 1% of the time, like, and then it's just an avalanche of success. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Daily consistency. So, like, I'm going to let you continue your story, but I just kind of wanted to point that out. It's just like, you had a business plan, you got funding. It didn't even involve credit, which is like a whole nother alternative.
But in a way, that was
why-
credit, though.
It was
credit. It was
social credit.
It was
Right.
social
Which
credit.
is one of the reasons why I
Face
reached out to
card.
you, because if I'm being 100% honest with you and with the people watching, I've never used my personal credit for funding. I've never built that. I'm literally at the bottom of the total
Right.
pole when it comes to
Right.
that. All the money I've been able to raise from people, I mean, the first real estate fund that I was a part of, that I was vice president of, we raised $8.5 million in 7 days.
Say that
In
again.
the first,
say that again. Say that
in the
again.
first 2 hours, we raised $450,000. I recorded when I told our CFO to push the button on the computer to make it available for people to invest. I document everything. We raised, it was like $400,000 in 2.5 hours. End of the week, it was $8.5 million. Off of just basically social relationships.
That's credit.
and
That's
showing
credibility right there.
credibility, yeah, showing people what we do. And so I've never ever really used my own personal credit or business credit to get the funding, that a lot of people are using nowadays, which is one of the reasons why I started my journey, going to the internet again, talking to a ton of credit repair people and business funding people, and that's why I reached out to you, just like I reached out to a whole bunch of people just to see what the vibe is.
Right.
You feel me? So, when I moved down to Atlanta was probably the best thing for my life and for my career, because in Atlanta, everything is really based off of social relationships and social credibility.
Yeah.
If you can build relationships with people and they feel you're trustworthy, you're a good person, you're not here to kind of like poach off of things or whatever, then the floodgates open for you. And I met a dude by the name of David Chance. I met David Shands in 2017. And the funny thing is that when I first met him, I came to his e-complex. And when we first met, he was like, I keep hearing your name, but what do you do? And I'm like, who the fuck told you about me, bro? Like, I just moved here, bro. I'm from New Jersey. Like, I just moved here. Like, how you hear about me to the point where you was like, yo, I got to talk to you. And so, I'm telling him, I was like, well, I do business development, consulting. I help businesses grow and build, whether it's marketing, whether it's getting more clients, whatever. I kind of play a man of many
Swiss
hats.
Army knife for the business.
Just to grow the business. I don't have a particular hat that I wear. And as I'm telling him this, a man by the name of Andre Norman walks in the room. And Andre Norman happens to be, at that time, I think, was one of his image consulting clients, I think. I'm not sure. Andre Norman had been my mentor for 12 years. I hadn't seen him in 6 years. And he's somebody that he's big on prison reform. So he has contracts with South Carolina prisons, Massachusetts, Illinois, and he basically shows prisons and inmates and how they can, when they get out free, how they can kind of regroup into society, how to keep violence down in the prisons, things like that. And I met him back in 2010, and I just hadn't seen him in a long time. And me and him always had a great relationship, always had a reciprocal relationship. And so it's like those relationships that you build, if you build them on a strong foundation, they precede you. I hadn't seen him in 6 years. I don't know what conversation could have came up to where my name came up in conversation and somebody had pleasant things to say about you.
And 6 years ago, you wasn't thinking about the effect of what that would have had.
6 years prior, I never had any plans to go to Atlanta, Georgia. That wasn't even something that was ever in my, in my plans at all. My plan since 2010 was to always move to Miami.
That's always been my dream. So I'm just like, yo, you only live once. Like, I gotta get down here eventually. You know what I'm saying? So I've definitely been shopping for some properties around here. And this building looks pretty nice. You know what I'm saying?
This is a dope building.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie.
Building.
It's one of the coolest lobbies I've ever been in. It's like a maze. They tell you what number elevator you're going in. It's just like, yo.
That's cool.
You know what I'm saying? It's just a bunch of exotics in the garage. It's just completely inspirational. You know what I mean?
It's a lot of people in this building that are my neighbors. I was in the elevator the other day, and I may pronounce his last name the wrong way, but Andre Iguodala, he lives on the 63rd floor. Yeah. And so
we was just talking about it too, because we're like, people can go and look at your situation and say, oh, you don't need a car that's this much, it gets you from A to B, blah, blah, blah. We were talking about how prices, how you feel, and what you're around, how much that is. Because we all know you can take a Uber in a Honda and get to the same place
100%.
Versus a Lamborghini. What
100%.
is going on in your mind? What are you seeing? What's normal? You know what I'm saying? Like we talked about renting a Lambo for a day, right? As in the beginning, right? It might not be financially the best move, but say somebody does you a solid and lets you drive a Lambo. What that's doing for your brain to think this is somebody's daily driver.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's elevating your perspective. So
to be around that to me, like my first exotic that I whipped, it was just like, yo, this just feels like me. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, it's gonna feel like you.
It just feels like this gotta be my everyday thing. Like it really elevated my. So it's like I like sitting low. I'm like I feel like it's athletic,
empowering.
You know what I'm saying? Because I can dip in between traffic so quick. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, man, driving exotics. You know what I'm saying? We gonna get into like how you even got into that. You know what I'm saying? Were you always a car guy?
It all ties in. It ties in.
You're at the point where you're at Atlanta, you're networking, you're cool with David Shands too. Like,
Whole time I want to ask before we get into it, how was your credit at that point in time?
My credit, I mean, I've always was at like around a 650, 660.
And was it important to you, or was it just like
It was always important to me, but I didn't. My main issue was I didn't have a lot of primary accounts.
Okay.
I had like my phone bills. I had a car note for what was that? A 2013 Audi A4. It wasn't extensive. It wasn't anything to where I could take my credit profile and go get 300,000.
Right.
But I was at a 650 because I had on-time payments of the small shit that I did have.
It just happened to be reporting, and
it just reports. So I moved to Atlanta. David Shands introduces me to literally almost every influencer in Atlanta that he was dealing with at the time. And my name started kind of blowing up a little bit. And then that was the same time where I was vice president of business development for the Jay Morrison Academy and the Tulsa Real Estate Fund.
Wait, you were vice president?
I helped build that company. I had been with Jay Morrison Academy from 2014. I actually met Jay back in 2010 when I was still in college, when he was still a realtor, before JMA, before anything. And he came to my house and he was trying to get the listing for my father's Maplewood house. And he pulls up to my house in like a was like a 2008 7 Series, had some 22-inch rims, and he comes out in a chinchilla and some Timberland boots, and I'm like, this the motherfucker that's going for? I'm like, man, this motherfucker. But I'm like, he's here. Let's just whatever, sit down. Yeah. And you know, we had that meeting sitting in my living room, sitting on the couch like how we are now, and he's telling me how he could help us list it and sell it or whatever. And nothing really came of that meeting. We didn't list it. We still own that house to this day. And then that meeting was over.
Right.
And I didn't see him or hear of him at all until 4 years later. I was back in Illinois. I was going through a situation. I was watching NBC, because I used to always watch the real estate shows. I'm watching NBC's open house, and I see this guy come on the TV. It says Jay Morrison, and he's showing like celebrities, football players, all these $1 million houses in New Jersey. And so that's what caught my eye. I was like, hold on. I think I know this dude.
Right.
Like, I think I know this dude. And so when I moved back to New Jersey in 2013, Googled his name. I see he's got something called the Jay Morrison Academy, which teaches real estate investing. So a lot of the stuff that they were teaching at that time, I kind of already had a huge knowledge of. But this is where the relationship building comes in, is that a lot of if you want to build a relationship with somebody, buy their product, buy their service, get into their community.
Yep.
Because now they have an obligation to at least talk to you, deal with you, because you're a customer. And then it's up to you how you groom that relationship and work your way in. So after being a student in the Jay Morrison Academy for like a year, there was an opportunity to be an intern. They had there's a gentleman named Chris Darden who was really running the company. Chris Darden is out of Philadelphia. No, sorry. Norrisville, Pennsylvania. And he hit me up and said, hey, we got an internship. Would you want to be a part of it? I said, okay, it's my opportunity. I said, hell yeah. So I came in there as an intern, made no money for like 2-3 years. I didn't make any money.
So this is like kind of after the wholesaling, because that was New York. Like,
yeah,
New
Jersey. This is
and
after
then you going
the
to
bar.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
To like a fresh start. And then you saying you're going to internship.
So the reason why I came to Atlanta is because after I had been an intern for JMA for about 2 years, me and Jay got close.
Right.
To where we would like hang out.
Right.
So we're driving downtown Newark, New Jersey, and he tells me he's gonna move the company to Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm like, all right, you could go down there by yourself. Like, cause I'm like, I built a huge reputation in New Jersey. I built a meetup at Garage Lounge, 972 Broad Street, Newark, New Jersey, every Monday. It was a real estate meetup. To this day, that meetup still goes on. Shout outs to Benedict Guerriere, who owns Garage Lounge, who gave me his worst day, which was Monday, and said, do whatever you can do with this day. I said, bro, we're going to do a real estate meetup. And, it's since 2016. It's been going on every single Monday. We've never missed a day, through COVID, through anything.
Yo.
So I was like, I don't want to leave everything that I built here. I was like, you can go to Atlanta by yourself. 2 weeks later, he was out. Moved the whole company down to Atlanta, Georgia. So we hadn't talked for like 2, 3, 4 months or whatever. And then he calls me one day and he's like, hey man, like, it's going well in Atlanta. If we have some opportunities for you down here, would you come down? So at that time, I'm like, I was about to graduate. I think I had 3 credits left for my degree. 3 credits left. One class. That's one class. And I'm like, man, fuck this college shit. I can finish 3 credit hours anytime. So when he said that, I'm like, hell motherfucking yeah. Those were my exact words. When he said, would you? I said, hell motherfucking yeah.
Yeah.
And that was what kind of like encouraged me to come down. And so I came down, started handling like the sales of the different real estate courses that we had. We had like some $99 a month shit, some $3.99 a month shit. Then we
Did
had
you have any high ticket?
Yeah, we had high ticket stuff started like $1,000 and went up to $30,000. And so I was making a lot of my money off the commission of selling those different mentorship packages and programs and stuff like that. But of course, at the same time, I'm gonna also explore what I can do with my own business and my own company. So that's what made me to go out in Atlanta, and that's how I met David Shands and meeting other people, et cetera, et cetera. And then, I started looking just like other opportunities. Like, okay, I don't want to be at Jay Morrison Academy forever.
Right.
This is not. I mean, the company is named after him. That's his legacy.
Right.
My name is Tosin Oduwole. I'm the son of Nigerian immigrants. My last name means the king has entered, the king has arrived. So anything I do, I got to build my own name, my own legacy, my own shit. So I started looking at opportunities where I could go do my own thing. And then in 2019, I resigned from the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, from J. Morrison Academy, and started pushing Oduwole Enterprises, the Conglomerate Holdings Group, and building acquisition Partners United, which is my own real estate fund, which has a $100 million max offering, which is specifically for the south side of Chicago. That's why when you said you was from Illinois, I was like, yo, I'm putting $100 million in Illinois, in Chicago, in the south side.
Yo, that place needs some renovation, man.
It does. But that goes back to me being able to identify markets.
Yeah.
The South Shore, the south side of Chicago, is literally Newark, New Jersey, 2012.
Right.
15% cap rates.
Right.
20% returns. And that's regular. You don't have to be the best real estate investor to find the best deals. That's what's just the market rate is going for. And so typically you'll have about a good 4 or 5 year window to where those are happening before the country, investors from all over the country come in there, and then that's what makes returns go down, prices go up, etc.
Right.
So I resigned and then started focusing on other income generating procedures, because when you're starting a real estate fund and you're asking accredited investors to give you $100 million, and you're a motherfucker from St. Louis, Missouri, is 3 credits away from his degree, never been in finance for nothing. The only thing that you really have to your name to champion is that you raised $8.5 million one time.
You got a reputation. You got common sense.
Correct. And so I said, I got to come up with ways to make extra money so that I can buy properties cash first in the fund's name, put that on the books so that there's cash flow, so that when I am asking a family office or a hedge fund to give me $5 million, I can say, this is the properties that we have right now. These are the returns that we're getting already.
Right.
So if you guys can give us $10 million, we're going to do exactly what we're doing right now, but we're going to be able to amplify it. We're not changing anything. We're going to do the same thing we're doing right now, but with $10 million, $20 million, we can amplify it. I can buy more properties, more assets with the same strategy that I've already used to get this $400,000 12-unit building to where each unit is $1,200, $1,300 a month, and we're making fucking $18,000 a month, and our mortgage payment is $3,000 a month. You give me $10 million, I'll be able to buy 30 of these things.
Right.
And so that was what made me kind of go into. Then we come to the car rental stuff.
Right.
So the first car I bought for Turo was a 2019 Toyota Camry.
And I think that's a lot of people's go-to. It's definitely either the Toyota
Economy car
or the Prius. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you started off economy affordable.
Yeah.
Okay. What was your mentality behind that? Like, what made you even pull the trigger? Like,
cause I've rented cars for years. I'm 36 years old.
Right.
I've been renting cars since I was like 24. When I go on road trips, so when I was in Illinois, I went to SIUE. So we would always go to Champaign because U of I is in Champaign.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'd rent a car to go up there.
Right.
And so the cars I'd always rent would be either Toyota Camrys or Nissan Altimas, because those are good for going on the road for long drives. And so I'm like, all right, if I like it, that means there's other people that will too. So I wanted something that would rent a lot, even though it wouldn't be a huge amount of money. It's like $80 a day, $70 a day. But in business, volume is how you get rich. It's volume. So if I had a Toyota Camry that's being rented out 18 days of the month for $80 a month, that's pretty decent, as opposed to you got a Rolls Royce that rents twice out the month for $700. So the Toyota Camry was what I started with, and then I bought a 2017 BMW 430i Grand Coupe, which I still have now, which is literally, it just came back from a 4-month rental. And when you guys come tomorrow, you'll see it at the showroom. I still have that car. We're going to put it back out. And I bought that. And then in 2020, I bought a Rolls Royce Ghost. Because I said, okay, you have economy, you have luxury, now you got to get exotic.
Right.
And so what I started to learn is that in certain markets, exotics rent like the economy cars. Atlanta, Miami.
I was saying that's funny because your market research had been your thing, and now you're like, oh wait,
Yeah,
there's a market for this.
correct. So like, if you're in Omaha, Nebraska, don't buy a Rolls Royce to put on Turo. It's not gonna rent. Nobody gonna buy it.
Right.
Nobody goes to Omaha for spring break, for Art Basel, for Ultra, for 4th of July, for Thanksgiving, for Christmas. Nobody goes to Omaha, Nebraska. But Atlanta, Georgia, Miami, Florida,
Vegas,
every
whatever,
month,
yeah.
Vegas, every month of the year, there's people from all around the country or the world that come to those cities to have fun, and they've been saving up for these trips for 6 months, 7 months, a year. But it's people from all around the world.
And they want that Miami experience.
Thank you. This spot that we in right now, I rented this out for Art Basel. I went to my girl spot in Atlanta.
Smart
I rented
as
this
shit.
spot out for $1,000 a day for 3 days.
Smart as shit.
For Art Basel.
Man.
I said, that would never happen in Maplewood, New Jersey, where I was
Right.
at. That would never happen in Newark, New Jersey.
What's
$1,000 a night. What?
I always say they don't even care that you own the Rolls Royce because they're not buying it because you own it. They're buying it because it's the experience that
Correct.
they want.
Yeah.
So it don't matter, right? They're going to Vegas. They're gonna find a Rolls Royce if they
gonna
want a
find it.
Rolls Royce.
Hell yeah.
Are you there? Are you not there?
Are you not? Yeah.
If the Super Bowl's in LA, are you bringing your cars to LA and
Yep.
putting them there?
Yeah. So, so when I had a car that was economy, I had a car that was luxury, and I had a car that was exotic. And so I told myself, I was like, all right, with my credit and the capital that I have available, which is not a lot, I bought that Rolls Royce cash. I would never ever do that again. Never ever do that again. That was one of the worst financial decisions I could have made. Even though I made my money back, from now on, I'm always gonna put money down on an exotic car.
Or not. Zero money down. I know that's possible. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, it's
And
definitely possible.
You know what's funny? You said that's the worst decision you ever made. The best decision I ever made, one of them was like, I was walking to this dealership trying to buy a car cash. It was almost like $20,000, and I was going dealership to dealership.
Yeah.
And I literally handed them the cash. I have like footage of this too.
Yeah.
But I was shopping for a black car, and I was just so thirsty to have a car that was similar to like my personality and just like a nice car for once.
Yeah.
Like once before, you know what I'm saying, while I'm still young. You know what I'm saying? But I handed the dealership the cash, but I was just like, you know what? I don't feel right. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really, you know what I'm saying? So I just like, it was kind of weird. It felt good. I feel like once it clicked that I could get it, like the hype went away like really quickly. It was
That's how
so
it
weird.
goes.
Like
That's how it goes.
I got my dopamine from knowing that I could do it, and I was like, you know what? Nah, I don't need it. You know what I'm saying? And then ever since, my homies was like helping me get around. You know what I'm saying? Like I needed a car, but it was just like that money like went into like mentorships, and it was my nest egg.
Yeah.
He was about
You
to
know what I'm
lock
saying?
it up.
It was really my nest egg, but I was literally about to spend all that bread, but it was just like I got the excitement out of just going to the dealership, and then like
You got lucky.
it
on
got,
that
you know what I'm saying?
Sometimes
So,
just knowing you can do it is enough to kind of spark some fire in you.
I swear,
Yeah,
I
it's
swear
tangible that it feels
Yeah,
tangible.
it's like,
Yeah,
okay, I can do this. I don't have to, but I can.
Right.
Yeah.
So, just kind of, getting into the car rental space, and then also, this is probably what really helped me. I've never ever said this before. I had an uncle that I hadn't seen since I was 10 years old, in St. Louis, and the last time I saw him, he had nothing, man. He was a quote unquote nobody. He was, when I had a godmother in St. Louis, that she was probably the most financially well-off person in our whole entire family. And every Christmas, Thanksgiving, all of our Nigerian family, cousins, uncles, extended family, we'd always go to her house, and we'd have our Thanksgivings there, Christmas there, et cetera, et cetera. And when all the parents would be upstairs talking whatever they're talking about, he'd be in the basement with us playing Sega Genesis and ping pong and stuff, whatever. Like, he didn't have that. They didn't even take him seriously. And so somehow he just disappeared. Like, I can't remember ever seeing him after I was 10 years old. So I moved to Atlanta, Georgia. This is what, let me see, 1995 is the last time I saw him. Moved to to Atlanta in 2017. 2018, what's that?
It's like 13 years.
13 years. No, it's more than 13 years. That's 95 to 05 is 10.
Oh, wow.
To
Oh,
2015 is 20.
23
23 years.
23 years.
23 years. So we're shooting a commercial for the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. And Jay's wife, I think his fiance at the time, she texts me and says, hey, be at this address at this time. That's your spot for the commercial. I'm like, okay, cool. I get the address, putting in GPS or whatever. I pull up to the spot with an Uber, and it's this big-ass mansion. I'm like, God damn, this shit hard in the motherfucker, bro. I'm like, God damn. I go in there, I'm recording on the IG, all the statues. I'm like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? We in this spot about to shoot this commercial and shit. Yeah, you know what it is. You know, da, da, da. And then while we're just hanging around waiting to shoot, somebody says the owner's African. I'm like, oh shit, I'm African. Let me, anytime I go somewhere and they say somebody's African, I just want to talk to them.
Right.
So we go, they say, oh, I'm African. Like, where's the guy? He comes, he says he's Nigerian. And he starts asking me, where you from? I say, hey, I'm from St. Louis. He's like, oh, I used to live in St. Louis. I'm like, oh yeah? I'm like, where? He says Chesterfield. Chesterfield is where my godmother lived. And so he was like, what's your name? I said, Tosin Oduwale. He's like, who are your parents? He's like, who are your parents? I said, Gladune is my mom. He's like, Gladune is your mom? I said, yeah. He's like, I'm Yinka. I'm like, yo, Uncle, what the fuck? Yo, I FaceTime my mom immediately. I'm like, yo, guess who I just ran into? Uncle Yinka.
Wow.
So apparently, over the last 23 years, him and his wife, they started buying medical practices. They buy medical practices that were either going out of business or that were going bankrupt and put them under the mergers or whatever. And they grew that business to a $100 million a year business that was grossing, I think, $60 million in revenue. And he owned this house. He bought that house from Kenny Rogers, the country singer that sang The Gambler.
Yeah.
No when to hold on.
Yeah,
no
that's fucking legendary.
Yeah, he bought it from him in 2006. So I'm like, so me and him reconnect. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, so you be renting this shit out. And then I started seeing he be renting out for music videos, all types of shit. Yeah. So for like the next year, I'm like, hey, Unc, man, you give me this shit, man. Yo, give me this shit. You don't even live here no more. Because he moved back to Nigeria. And he would just come back to like pick up money and just like check on the house. I'm like, bro, you don't even live here no more, man. Just give me this shit. I'm going to trap this motherfucker out. Like, give me this shit. And then eventually he was like, he had texted me when he came back to Atlanta to the country. And he was like, yo, let's go to lunch. And so we go to lunch. And this is after I've been asking him to give me that mansion for a year. And then we go to lunch and he says, okay, what do you want to do? I said, well, shit, this is what I want to do, man. I want to music videos, weddings, bar mitzvah, everything. So, we had worked out a price to where I'd give him a certain amount of money every month. And he would give me the house. And he did it. And so like 4 days later, I go over there when he's about to catch his flight to go back to Africa or whatever. And I pull up. He gives me the keys, and he looks like he's so eager to get the fuck out of America. Like, literally, it was 3 minutes. I come in there, he's like, oh, I was waiting for you. Gives me the keys, rushes his car, and leaves. And then I'm in that motherfucker. It's a 16,000 square foot mansion on 5 acres. And I'm looking at this motherfucker like, this is mine now.
Yeah.
This is mine now.
That's like some movie, man.
Yeah, and so that's when I started growing like my Turo business. I bought 2 SUVs, a BMW 3 Series, a Mercedes C-Class, had the Camry. I didn't have the BMW here at that time. Then I had the mansion, and I was renting it out for music videos, pool parties, everything. And I was charging I'll charge like $7,000 for 4 hours if you wanted a pool party. If you wanted to spend the night, if it was like a company retreat, I would just charge $5,000 a day. Just depending on what you were trying to do is how I'd kind of tell you what I was going to charge you. And that blew up my profile. I met a lot of people. Like Coming to America 2, when they were going to shoot that, before they chose Rick Ross's house, they came to my house to scout it.
That's so funny.
You sound like you were describing Rick Ross's house.
I was just thinking
no.
Like with the statues and everything.
They came to my house first, but Rick Ross's house in Fayetteville, it's better renovated. It's bigger, of course. He has the biggest residential pool in the country. Right. And it just looked more like what a king would have for the movie or whatever. Right. And so they ended up going there. But like Movie Scouts, what's that show on Netflix? The black superhero movie?
Wasn't
Lightning something? Is it Black Lightning?
Black Lightning.
Black Lightning.
Right.
They came to scout, whatever. So I was getting my money off of all types of shit, and it was really building my profile, allowing me to meet a whole bunch of people, opened up a lot of relationships, and then something that I believe in is that you're trying to build a relationship with somebody. Give what you can give for free to show your goodwill.
Right.
And so 19 Keys, he wanted to do an event. And I was like, bro, it's free, bro. Just do your thing. It's free, bro. Do your thing. You feel me? And that was what got me and him kind of cool. And I would do that a lot, just depending on who you were. That it's like, you know what? I don't have to make money on everything. I don't have to charge money on everything. Sometimes relationship building, helping people out who have something that they need to do and they want a good look, a big look. Yo, if you can afford to do it, do it. You know, I'm not going to be in a poorhouse if I rent it out for 5 hours for free for one day.
Right.
It'll be fine.
Right.
You know, and so it was kind of just using that. It built my profile. And I'll probably say 2019 is when I really started to be in a very, very good financial space to where every month was like a $30, $40, $50, $60,000 a month. And it was just trying to figure out, like, I've heard of people that are doing $1 million a month.
Right.
So now I'm like, yo, okay, what am I not doing that I'm not allowed to get there? Like, what am I not doing? So it's kind of just trying to go to the next level and trying to just work my way up that ladder through goodwill, charging when I need to, building relationships, and kind of working your way up that ladder. The same way how you work your way up a corporate ladder if you have a 9 to 5.
Right.
It's the same way in entrepreneurship.
Exactly.
It's just a different strategy. But you have to work your way up there too. There's certain things you have to do to kind of work your way up that entrepreneurship ladder to where you can get in that different tax bracket or whatever. And so that's when I learned that mergers and acquisitions is how you really become a millionaire or a billionaire. I looked at my uncle. They built a $100 million company off of what? Acquisitions. They didn't start those medical practices.
Straight curation.
Correct.
This one.
You're going out of business. You're retiring. Okay, we're going to buy you. We didn't start your business. We didn't hire those people. We didn't find that location. We're going to buy what you have and everything that is encased in it and put it under our umbrella. It's Facebook. Facebook bought Instagram. They bought WhatsApp. That's how they're becoming the biggest whatever. Right. They put an offer into Snapchat. Snapchat said no. They look at companies that can add value to what they have, and they make an offer to buy you.
Off that one person's or that group's 10 years of devotion to that space, right?
And they just come in and say, hey, we got $4 billion for you. What's up? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, when I came to Miami, it was like, okay, yeah, I have some experience in real estate. I have some experience in car rentals. Have some experience in Airbnbs, VRBO, you know, all that stuff. Let me find a company that has something going that's like established and see if we can have a merger type of situation. And I found a company in South Miami, has 96 cars. You know, Rolls Royces, Lamborghinis, Benzes, BMWs, everything. And we came to a partnership agreement to where my company, Miami Exotic Cars LLC, and their company become partners to where I now have access to their entire fleet. They also have all of my cars as well.
Right.
And now we bust it down accordingly.
Right.
And so now...
You gonna say?
No, that's not them. That's another company.
Are you cool with name dropping or?
Oh yeah, I can name drop because it only helps our company.
That's what
people
I thought.
Google it and whatever. I mean, we're all in bed together, so.
That's the only other one I know right there. You about to put that one in? Oh no.
No, so you can look at So if you put Mr. Tosin right now, because I was posting a lot and Instagram blocked me from changing my my thing for 2 weeks.
One word?
Yeah, one word.
Like that?
So yeah, that's my company.
Okay.
This is actually the day when I bought the Rolls Royce.
Switch.
That's the day when I bought the Rolls Royce, and I just kind of redid everything.
It's a nice spec.
And so, Miami Luxury Vehicles is the company that I partnered with. So together we have 101 cars, and then also just partnering with people on consignment.
Man, come on.
Yeah, I document everything. I want to show. I went in there and bought that thing cash when I first came in there because like.
Man.
This. You bought the
Rolls cash?
That goes. Yeah, I bought it cash. So when I came in there, I came in like sweats. I think I was wearing these same sweatpants. I had these sweatpants for like 3 years. So I came in there in these sweatpants, a t-shirt. The t-shirt was wrinkled at the time. And I was like, yeah, I saw y'all had this Rolls Royce on eBay. And I was like, hey, you know, you guys got it for this price, but if you give it to me for this price, I'll buy it cash. And they was like, yeah, okay. So they would say, yeah, we got to talk to our manager. They went back and he was like, yeah, okay, if you can do it for this. I was like, all right, I'll be back in 15 minutes. They thought they was never going to see me again. It was like, this dude capping. I went right down the street to Wells Fargo, got a cashier's check, came back in 15 minutes. They was like, oh, shit. It's like, here you go. And then when I came to pick up the car, because of course they said, we have to wait until the cashier's check clears, because we don't know if this is fake. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. So I got the camera crew together. I said, okay, I'm going to put on like a little button up or whatever, and we're going to record when I pick this shit up. You know what I'm saying? And I came and got it, and then I just started seeing like, you know, you can rent these things out for anywhere from $700 to $1,100 a day. And so if you aren't emotionally attached,
right?
If you're not emotionally attached to the cars, then you know you can really make more. You can make $400,000 off a car you spend $150,000 on. You just can't be emotionally attached to it. That's why all my cars, I'm not emotionally attached to it. If somebody wants to rent it, I don't care. It can go out.
It ain't your baby. Because a lot of people, they get choked up like that.
Correct, yeah.
Right.
Because, oh, this is my car. Because a lot of times, like, the first nice car you get, it's like, yo, like, you never had this before. Like, you don't just want anybody driving this shit. But when you look at it like an asset, when you look at it like a money-generating vehicle, you have to be able to detach.
I wish I recorded this video though. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, it was just some dude that had a camera, and he was like, "Yo, I recorded for you." I'm like, "All right, bet. Come on, bro."
Still documented. That's cool.
You know what I'm saying?
Yo, that's the dream right there. The pull off when he pulls off the lot. You know what I'm saying? And he makes it official. Like, damn.
And so yeah, it was cool, man. It was, and then also and this is where it comes from, like the relationship stuff, is that I found out that particular dealership was where everybody in Atlanta who was somebody was buying all their exotic cars from. So now you become part of this like club,
right?
This like of oh, we all get our cars from here. Oh, you bought your car from Garrett. That was your salesman. A
little frat going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
And you go in there, and you may be in there, and you start seeing other people. Like, yo, what's up? It's like, oh, you in here buying a Rose? You in here buying a Lambo? And it's like, we're at a different level. It's like, oh, we're here now. You feel me?
Yeah.
And it's just about building those relationships, and then trying to figure out how to take it to the next level, and then, you know, like a lot of people I know that, you know, have bought cars from there, they're open to renting their stuff too. So it's like, hey, I got somebody that's trying to do a photo shoot, you know, at the airport, you know, in front of a private jet. They want a Rolls Royce. Hey, is your car available? Like, yeah, it's available for $1,200 for 5 hours.
And you're connected. That's it.
No problem. So now I'm bringing money to you. I may not be getting nothing off of that.
Right.
But now you know me. Oh, Tosin brought me money.
Right. Right.
So I may not do nothing with you this year. I may not do nothing with you next year.
Yep.
But what you remember of me,
right?
When you think of Tosin, oh, that's the dude that
brought me
up.
We just met. I already think of him as the person that referred.
He already
you know what I'm saying? Like he's speaking the truth.
I love
right
doing
now.
solid like that because then you
I
know that
spoke
they
to
think
him.
it.
I was like, all right, I'm gonna do some, but he seemed like a genuine person. It just so happened that my homegirl hit me up that night. She was like, she's trying to get credit repair. I'm like, yo, hit up Delete King 850. She hit him up and she went for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, it's all about, I didn't get nothing off of that. She ain't break me no. He ain't break me nothing off. It's like, yo, bro.
And I had to figure out like where she came from too, because I had a call right before her call.
Yeah.
From somebody specific, and I was thinking he just sending people back to back, but it was like, it clicked like 2 days later, or a day later. Like, oh that was him. So I'm like just building with people reaching out on Instagram with the momentum, like I'm saying. So
yeah.
So I was like, man, I seriously appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? And then regardless of like what you needed help with, I already know I was on my way to Miami, and I was going to offer the, you know what I'm saying, content.
I appreciate
You know what I'm saying?
So
if you're somebody that literally accomplished my goals, like we're gonna get content if you're open to it at your earliest convenience. Yo, let's get this content in. You know what I'm saying? I'm already like posting people's cars that are down here. You know what I'm saying? Just building my network out here. So regardless of what you needed from me, I was gonna come down here and network, and I was like, yo.
Yeah.
You don't even know it yet, but I'm
he's trying to do
asking him after,
content.
you know what I'm saying?
I'm like, hey,
you know
we got a showroom full of cars. Come through, do whatever you need for you. He said, he's like, hey, we'll shoot content for you as well. I said, okay, hey, Sierra, you know, you trying, because I didn't really have any content to do, but Sierra's my homegirl. I'm like, hey, if you need some content, come through. Like, why let the opportunity just go to waste? It's like, if I don't need it, you can use it. And that's part of me just filling in the tank of our friendship and our relationship. Say, hey, okay, come through. And so that, I think, is probably something that a lot of entrepreneurs need to learn, is knowing when to provide
I want to point out that is, I haven't figured out what to call it. It's a skill, but it's also like you got it or you don't from what I see. Like certain people's mindsets don't get that. Yeah. Like especially at the lower level, not to say like, you know, your grandparents or your uncles or aunts, the distant family might come in and be like, why are you doing that for free? Or I always hear, you better be getting what you're worth. You better be charging. And I'm like, you don't know that this is strategic and this is long-term thinking.
That's the word, strategic.
Yeah.
It's like you got to know when to make $1, right, and when to make 0.
Yeah.
Because sometimes in making 0, it's gonna equivalent to you making $100
ROI you could have ever got.
Yeah. So like somebody used to, I'm not sure where I got this phrase from, but I used to hear it as somebody say, "Don't trip over dollars chasing pennies."
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, you're chasing those pennies. You're trying to squeeze every drop out of the orange, whatever, and you're missing out on the dollars you could be making by losing a few cents here. But you're not really even losing, but by compromising a few cents here, and it sets you up to make the dollars later. And so I live that way, man. That's the way I live. And, you know, the people that I build relationships with, that's how they live. Like, David Shands never charged me for anything. He opened up his Rolodex.
And you might look crazy if someone looks in on the outside in like, yo, you doing freebies for this person, this person, this person. You're like, bro, you don't understand. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm like, I know what I'm doing. Like, chill out. And that fuck you pay me mentality, correct, that can mess you up because
it sounds good in the rap songs and the movies and shit, but in real life, it's like when you of course, you know, preferably when we get older and have children and families, and let's say, you know, I have a son and he says, hey, Dad, you know, I want to get into real estate. I can say, oh, yeah, go holler at my friend John. I've known him for 20 years.
Yep.
He's not going to charge you. He's going to show you everything you need because we have a relationship that goes back to fucking 2017.
Yep.
It's 2040 now.
Exactly.
We have 30 years of goodwill. Right. You're my son.
Straight up.
Go to him. Go to John. He got you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what you also have to look at. It's like, yeah, we need to focus on how we can make the money right now to pay our bills and whatever, but also knowing when to strategically not charge and build a relationship that's going to be the long-term game for 10, 15, 20 years down the line. Mm-hmm. And that's where a lot of people kind of miss it because, you know, when you're at the lower level or you're just starting, let's keep it G, like, you're desperate, you're scared. That's that scarcity shit. You need money. You're like, you know, you're in a scarcity mindset. You're like, yo, I need, rent is due in fucking 2 days. Like, I can't be doing shit for free. You're like, yo, I got to figure out how I can charge. And I get it. I was there. Like, I was a full-time college student working at a fucking catering company, delivering food. I was making $10 an hour at Orange and Olive. And I was working 12 hours a day for 2 years. I was making $10 an hour. But on the end, I was still saying, okay, I'm in the Palantir's office every day. I'm drinking beers with Alex Karp, a billionaire. I'm fucking talking to all the other managers, his personal assistant, who really run all that shit. She was an Indian girl, Indian lady or whatever, who was like the fuck. She's the one that connected all the dots. I'm building relationships with her. It's like, I'll work $10 an hour for this.
You get mentally rich.
You're getting Rolodex rich.
Man, exactly.
You're getting Rolodex rich. Man. Like you could call somebody and say, yo, I need this. Boom. Like Rolodex rich. And
I'm gonna start. I think you just coined that phrase right there because I've never heard it before.
So that's all put that shit on a t-shirt.
Yes, yes, definitely Rolodex rich. Man, like recently, because my mentors put me in tune with like some people that are well off.
Yeah.
And then you know, like how often we keep in touch. Like recently, like I started doing more and more business with some of the people that they put me in contact with. I'm just like, man, I had this number for a while. Like, what am I doing out here?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, I gotta strengthen these relationships and go ahead and add more value. 100%. These people are already successful and they're happy to see me grow because I you know what I'm saying, just the way I am, my personality, like I understand, like, I got to add value. I got to get in where I fit in and add a little bit of value to that person. I make their lives easier. I keep the change. Whatever drops off, you know what I'm saying? Whatever drops off the Brinks truck when they drive, you know what I'm saying? They're going to put me in the right position, and then they'll recommend me or whatever.
Hell yeah.
So it's like.
That's funny that I noticed that tendency right there, how can I provide, like, literally ASAP, how do I give some sort of value prop to that person is why you get way farther than the person that's going, how do I ask without sounding, how can I pick his brain without, because it's you're going for grabs instead of for gives. And it's like, how you going to feel bad? You're giving them something.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're going to put your foot in the door.
And there's sometimes where you may give something and get nothing back. That's okay.
It's
part of the game.
Yeah.
Not every time you roll the dice, you're going to hit. But if you keep rolling, you're going to hit.
Exactly.
So it's like you can't always expect like you're going to get something back. It's just develop that nature and strategy of when it's the right time, you have something to offer.
Even thinking more long term like that. Say you didn't get nothing short term out of it, right? I always see, because we both come from like the videography, content creating, space. And I remember being like, if I did a freebie for that person, I'm getting more out of it long term because I just put my reputation into their network that saw it and goes, who's your videographer? Who did that?
That's how I got all my videographers. Like, yeah, it's somebody else that has something. Like, yo,
and you
who
go,
did this shit?
come here.
And it's like, oh yeah, him. His rate is this, but he could have did this shit for you for free. Mm-hmm. What I saw that made me want to now pay him, he could have did for you for free.
Exactly.
I don't know, because that's not my business. You're not gonna tell me. I'm not supposed to know.
Right.
But it's like a trickle effect.
Exactly.
You know, and so like I name drop not because I'm trying to show who I know, but because I also want people to go to them and see who they are, and maybe even buy something from them. So it's like me, like giving back and saying, hey, I appreciate everything you did for me. I'm gonna name drop you every chance I get, so people can go look at what you do, and you may get customers, and you may get whatever. And it's just a way that I can continue to pour into that pot and fill up that gas tank for you, because there's things you did for me that I'll forever be grateful for. Even if you don't know, like I'm gonna say it again. I'm forever grateful to David Chance because he did a lot for me, and I don't think he knows what he did for me. He doesn't know. He has no idea. But you know, whenever I do events in Atlanta, what do? I pay him to do it at E-Complex. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? His spot. It's like
it's inspired by him.
Yeah,
I think he has
like,
some challenge with the podcast.
He has the podcast challenge. It's like,
you know what I'm saying?
I'm forever grateful. So it's like,
you
want to do something in Atlanta? You ask me, I'm gonna say, hey, go to E-Complex.
Yeah.
He said, go over there. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's something that people should kind of incorporate into their journey and their strategy, whatever they're trying to do. You know, just learn how to balance that, giving things away for free. You know, building relationships. You know, knowing when to charge, when not to charge. It's very important. It's a skill. You know, it's
people feel like I bet you ask aspiring videographers or aspiring creative people might go, what are your rates? Right. Like it's some solid, like it's a magic recipe. Yeah. It's like, nah, bro, you got to know when to, do what you need to do. Yeah. And know what, okay, I'm doing this solid. Or, oh, okay, I could tax here. Or, I could, make it work here. It's an art. I don't know. It's an art. It's a relationships is an art.
It is. Yeah. It is. It really is. And I mean, that's why in the music industry, A&Rs are important. Mm-hmm. They're connectors.
They're the curators.
Relationships. Right. Yeah. They go and find the artists that the CEOs of the labels are not looking for or don't have the time to. And they go and find the Biggies, the Tupacs, the A Boogies, and say, hey, we should look at this person.
Exactly.
So it's the same thing, like the connectors, the dot connectors. My boy Brandon J. Wigley in Atlanta, Georgia, he calls himself the dot connector. He's the person that, like, anything you're trying to do,
network,
hit him up. He knows somebody he can connect you with that can put you on that journey. And he doesn't like charge a fee for that service. He's like,
he putting solids, he putting jabs everywhere.
He's like, yo, I want to be the one that's inspired hella businesses so that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, there's all these people that have multi-million-dollar businesses, and they can say, oh yeah, Brandon is the one that was in the foundation that connected me with this person. And then 10 years from now, because he now has that relationship, now his fee may be $400,000 for whatever. It's a long-term play.
Yep.
You have the short-term play and the long-term play. And I think with our generation, because we're younger and we're more of the hustle, get it now, we typically tend to focus more on like the short term. How can I get it today? Got to get that money, get it.
Depends on your input, because like we said, the fuck you pay me, it comes from the entertainment, it comes from the fast
very much
gratification.
very much
and
so.
you're like, I want to be that because you think that's the way to go.
Very much
My mentality has recently shifted to just like, you can just get the money from the bank in the meantime, but
Facts.
Very true.
But just build these relationships.
But people don't
you know
know
what I'm
that.
saying?
And if
And
that
I'm trying to
solves the
expose
problem,
that.
And even what you're saying is that's building a relationship with the bank. So
You're
doing the same thing I'm doing. You're just doing it in that
that's the
industry.
funniest thing, because the whole time we talking about, you know how your credit's not the best this whole time. I'm like, your credit is A1. Your credibility is being the catalyst for everything you're doing.
Yeah.
It just ain't on FICO.
Correct. Yeah.
But it's out in the real world.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
So that's really, I mean, that's really it. Like I'm not a rocket scientist.
Yeah,
I'm not the
yeah.
smartest person or whatever. I just knew that, okay, the way that I'm going to be able to move forward and inch forward in the game of life is by building great relationships,
Yeah.
providing value to people, and taking whatever equity I can from that to move forward. You know, I always tell people, like, I've always been, and people tell me not to say this, but it's true. Like, I've always been the slow person in class, the slow person in
They
school.
put me in them classes too.
Right, I was always like, so when I was in 8th grade, right, they put me in one of my periods, they took me out of social studies and put me in a slow class, which is like for people that are supposed to be mentally challenged or whatever.
Yo, same
And
here.
it just so happens
Same
that the
grade.
teacher that was over that class, he was my 2nd grade teacher. And so when they said, we're putting Tosin in your class, he was like, Tosin's not slow. Like, I've known him since he was 5. He's not. And they was like, no, he's not doing well. We're going to put him in your
I
class.
think that's some agenda. Like,
And do you know what we did in that slow class? This is I was 8th grade. I'm 36. I was in 8th grade, 1998. What we did in that slow class, we were learning how to make websites. We went and made websites on the internet back
in 98?
98, back when Ask Jeeves was
Yeah.
the portals, Netscape. We were making websites at 13 years old in 1998.
That was a millionaire.
And we're in the slow
right there.
class.
Right.
And so it's like, this is before the internet. The internet boom was what, 3 years later?
right.
So 3 years before the internet boom, we were already making websites in the slow class.
Ain't no Shopify either.
No Shopify. Making
No Wix.
blogs. Like,
Yeah.
I made my first blog in 1998 when I was 13 years old. He was there, so he noticed that, and he was like, y'all want to call him slow? Okay, cool. Send him over.
Right.
And we started doing
That's so cool.
stuff that was above the fucking pay grade for any fucking educational 8th grade level, whatever, to where now it's like a required skill. You have to know how to make a website. I've been making websites for the last 30 years.
Wow.
Like, no, I'm not saying not the 30 years. I was 13.
Right, right,
I've been making websites for 20. The first website I made was 25 years ago.
Huh.
25 years ago.
I'm revamping my website right now. That's crazy.
You saying? So it's more about not necessarily fitting into like the standard format of things, but being able to know when to pivot or know where to insert yourself, when not to. And then, you know, when you have more people in your circle that are on that same type of time, it becomes easier to kind of get in where you fit in and find what works. It's kind of like finding your tribe, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think I was blessed and I was lucky to have, you know, Mr. Braun. His name's Steve Braun. You know, I spoke to him 4 years ago when I was working at the catering company because I was trying to find him, because I was like, yo, like, he was a big part. I never forgot him. He was a big part of my whatever. Googled his name, and I found a number, left a message. He called me back. He's like, hey, Tosin, what's going on? I'm like, hey, Mr. Braun, you still don't have a TV in your house, right? He was like, nah. Because, like, he never had a TV in his house forever.
Wow.
And it was just like, you know, just kind of reaching back to all the people that kind of, when I was a kid in the 90s,
Put something in.
and saw something that I didn't know was ever going to be something special when I became an adult. And it was Mr. Braun, it was Miss Barrier, my 5th grade teacher, you know, which was the only teacher that took a picture with me for my 5th grade graduation. You know what I'm saying? I was supposed to be the dumb kid, but when I look at all of my teachers I've ever had, as a 36-year-old man, I make more money a year than any professor, any teacher, any whatever I've ever had in my entire life. There's never been a teacher or a guidance person that I've had in my, coming up years that makes more income than I do now. Mm-hmm. And I was the slow child in the retarded class.
That's a blessing how things
so it's
work
like,
out full circle.
It's
right.
Like, so
that's why I wanna. So I have one question before we wrap up. You know what I'm saying? I feel like this is the first of many podcasts that we gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Especially if I move into this building.
Yeah, for sure.
But I was just curious in terms of the car rental game.
Yep.
There's so many different Instagram pages, especially in the mecca of the car rental industry.
A lot of competition out here.
So, I mean, you just came down here and you got it cracking. I mean, part of what you said earlier, collaboration was something that kind of helped you excel. Mm-hmm. But it's just like, what is your opinion on the competition? A new page is popping up every day, including mine, 850 Exotics. Yep. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, what is your opinion on that competition? And is it gonna affect the market? Is there anything to be worried about for anybody that wants to be like you and do what you do? You know what I'm saying? In this city right here.
I'm gonna say no because, and this is my standpoint on any industry, is that this idea of competition is a false idea of competition. There's no company that can service everybody in the market. It's impossible.
Right.
It's impossible. Even Facebook, that's just one of the biggest social media, Snapchat is still there. They're separate. Twitter is still separate. It's like there's no way that there's one company. To have a monopoly in this era that we're in right now is damn near impossible.
Because of the scale of the internet.
The scale of the internet.
Of the buyer base.
Exactly. It's like anybody can hop into that marketing base and get their own clients. So when it comes to the exotic cars, you want to grow your exotic fleet by 10 cars in the next month, this is how you do it. Yo, this is crazy. I'm gonna tell y'all because there's no competition, so I can tell you guys.
All right, let's get it.
You can go on Facebook Marketplace. Anybody who's selling an exotic car, tell them, hey, see you're selling this car. I have an exotic rental car company. We have trackers we put trackers in all of our cars, kill switches. We make sure that all the renters have a comp and collision insurance that's fully transferable. If you're interested in having us rent your car, we can eventually pay you more than what your asking price is for that car. And you can do this in Facebook Marketplace for people that have cars for sale anywhere in the country. You can have them ship you the car. Happens all the time. It doesn't have to be people that are just in Miami or people that are just in LA that are selling this car. It could be somebody who bought a Rolls Royce that lives in fucking Seattle, Washington. Say, hey, I got an exotic rental car company in Miami. You got a Rolls Royce? I could rent that thing out for $1,100 a day. We'll do a 60-40 split. I take care of all your maintenance, all of the drop-offs, pickups, the CRM management, all that shit. We do a 60-40 split. 60 to you, 40 for me.
Who covers the car note?
They still cover the car note, but out of what you're giving to them out of their 60%. And so you just have to have the time. I mean, I just did that. I can show you a message. There's a guy that literally lives 5 minutes away from here. He has a 2017 Rolls Royce Wraith. I was actually supposed to meet up with him today, but I flew into Miami late because I was coming in from Miami. But he's going to give me his Wraith. I found him on Facebook Marketplace. He happens to just live 5 minutes away from me.
So this ain't no hypothetical theory.
This is literal. This is what you do. This is what you do if you're serious about it. This is what you actually do. And so I don't have to keep the secret to myself because if you do it, that doesn't mean that I won't be able to find other people. Like the whole competition thing is like a thing of the 80s and the 90s. That doesn't really exist now. It's like, okay, if you have 100 clients, I can find 100 clients too. Right. It's not like there's only 10 people in the fucking industry.
Right.
There's millions of people. There's 7.9 billion people in this world. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
and more people hopping on the internet, more people finding money, more. It's abundant, but people don't.
It's just about who's gonna execute, who's actually do it. So whoever watches this podcast, are you gonna do it?
Exactly.
You're probably not.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm gonna be on top. And he's gonna be, and you're not, because you're not gonna actually do it. You're not gonna go start the LLC. You're not gonna go rent a warehouse where you can house the cars. You're not gonna do that. But it's not like I know something that you don't, or I'm that much smarter than you. I've never gotten more than C's and B's the entire time I was ever in school in any point in time ever in the history of life. You're probably smarter than me in every single way, but I execute. I actually try shit, and if it fails, okay. It's like I'm not scared of it failing or fucking up.
Exactly.
But in that whole process of failing, I'm gonna meet people, I'm gonna learn some shit, whatever. So it's like I'm better equipped to try to do it better the second time. So it's just like that's all it is. But the whole competition thing, I don't really believe in it, you know.
Yeah.
And my boy Matty J out of Atlanta, he runs MVP Atlanta, which is an exotic car company. MVP started in Miami. MVP Miami is the headquarters. I think it's run by somebody named Matt. He's a Spanish guy. I don't know him.
Yeah.
Matt.
I don't know
I
him
had
personally.
a homie that did content for his company down
Yeah,
there.
I don't know him personally, but I know when he expanded
Cool. Yeah,
to
he's cool.
Atlanta, he reached out to Matty J to run that one. Matty J is the guy who taught me the exotic car rental business. Matty J, I'm telling you, thank you.
Right.
I used to show
He's
up to
dope.
his lot.
Me and him, Black Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, we caught that. He gives out so much.
I used to
game.
show up to his
yeah.
lot like 3 years ago, unannounced, just show up there. And he would sit down with me for an hour and tell me how he runs everything, how he gets his cars, whatever. Anytime, and never charge me $1. And I'm like, I said, man.
Yeah, he reminds me of
said,
me. He
bruh.
reminds me like the future version of me. Like we just copped his course, and then like I was in his
Cars
it was
and
called
Bars.
Cars and Bars. He
Yeah.
was dropping sauce. I was like,
He's the
can't
real
miss.
deal. He's the real
And he had
deal.
these Zoom calls.
He's
'cause
the real deal.
Sometimes they turn the recording off, and they really.
And like
drop
you
the
said,
sauce.
someone might think, "Oh, aren't you worried about being, saturated?" It's like he's really not at all.
He's giving everybody the game.
Yes, literally.
He's like, if you do it, you do it. It's not going to take away from what he's already
Yep.
70 cars strong. He already has clientele out the fucking ass.
Yep.
So you hopping into business is not going to take anything away from him. He just helped you get some money too.
Right.
And now everybody bosses. Now everybody like
Damn, that's wild.
it's like you don't. That's why they have the phrase "bosses amongst bosses," because there can be 100 bosses.
Yeah.
There's no shortage of money.
Nah, hell nah. You said
They
it since the
printing
beginning.
it every day.
Yeah,
I don't know if I was wrong about this, but I think last year they printed more than they ever printed
In a
It's
10-year
like,
period.
That's crazy.
It went from 2000 to 2010, and then from 2011 to 2021, it was the same amount. Or no, sorry. It was 2008 to 2018, and then it was like from 2019 to 2020. It was like the same amount that they printed in the whole decade.
And I'm just like, yo, they just typing up numbers
Right,
at the
right.
bank, and then they're just handing it out, and that's the next level to it. It's just like
gotta go get
it
it.
was free the whole
You
time.
just gotta go.
And like you said, there's people out there that are helpless in deploying that
yeah.
because they earn it and they're just earners, but they don't know how to allocate.
Another thing is that, for people that are trying, because one of my main skills is raising capital.
Right.
So for people that are trying to figure out how they can get money if they can't get it from a bank, their credit score's fucked up, they haven't, came in contact with the lead king or whatever, is that you can go to hedge funds, family offices. You can Google this. You can say, okay, family office. You can go to Google and say family offices in the United States, or family offices in Europe, or family offices in China. And you'll get a list of all their websites, all their phone numbers. Send them emails. Look, when we started the Tulsa Real Estate Fund in 2018, it was 4 years in the making. In 2014, I told myself, I was like, yo, I always wanted to start a fund and raise millions of dollars. So what I did was I went on Google and found all of the funds that were in New York City, sent all of them emails, was trying to see who would respond to me. It was a copy paste email. Hey, I want to start a fund. Is there anybody in your company that would be willing to walk me through or show me what I need to know to do that XYZ? Didn't get responses from anybody except one day, a fund called the Prodigy Network. They started in Colombia. They came to Miami, did some stuff in Miami, and then decided that they were going to focus on New York, and they moved to New York. They moved their headquarters to New York. They raised about $300 million to do a whole bunch of projects in New York. So one day, one of the principals of that company sends me so he's looking at my Snapchat stories. And I see a long name. It was a long, I knew it was a foreign name. So I copy it and put it in Google. And I see, oh shit, this dude is one of the owners of a company called The Project Network that's done 300 million. So I sent him a message. I'm like, hey, what's going on, man? He says, hey, what's up? I'm like, hey, man, what do you do? He's like, I do real estate. I see you're in real estate too. I said, yeah. Already knowing what he does now because I can Google the shit. And then, you know, we're just chatting back and forth. And I asked him, I said, hey, man, can you kind of tell me what you do? He says, yeah, sure. Come into our office and I'll run down the whole thing to you. And I come into his office in New York in the financial district. And he breaks down to me exactly how they raise their funds, their third party, their third party fund managers. Because when you have a fund and you're raising millions of dollars, you have to have an escrow account. It's to kind of to combat against like fraud, so you don't have like a Bernie Madoff situation or whatever. And he told me how they do that, told me the company that they use, and he allowed me to record the meeting. I still have the recording in this phone.
That's OnlyFans sauce Patreon.
2015,
you better
2014, whatever.
That's
and
a gem.
At the end of it, I'm saying, because, you know, I don't have the money to start a fund at this time.
Right.
So I said, hey, man, I have a partner, man. Can I come back in like 2 weeks and you run me through this whole thing again? He's like, yeah, sure. When I leave, I call Jay. I'm like, hey, yo, bro, you got to be in New York, bro, in 2 weeks, man. Hey, I found somebody that's going to show us how to start this whole thing. He's like, I bet. He comes to New York and we run through it again. And the guy lets me record that meeting too. I have the social proof. I told you, I record everything.
Right.
I document the entire process of my entire life.
I'm the same way.
13 years.
Damn.
And it was a company that is doing way more than us. They're way bigger than us. I was just a wholesaler at that time. I was still in college at that time. And somebody who runs a $300 million capital raise fund company tells me exactly how they did it and allows me to record him telling me this shit. Because there's no competition, bruh.
Exactly.
Because I tell you what I do doesn't mean that if you do it, I'm now going to be out of business.
It's more so now he can do business with you and grow.
Exactly. Like that shit does not exist. The competition thing, it's not real.
Right.
I don't know why it still sticks around. It's from like our parents' generation.
Right.
Before internet, where it's like, oh, if you were a lawyer, you know, you gotta get everybody, because if you don't, whatever. But it's like now, okay, fine. You can be a lawyer that has 180 clients. I can have 40 clients and be just as rich as you.
That's also the saver generation, because it's a lot of the high level jobs and where they just act like it's acorns and then they store it and then they trickle that as slow as they can.
Yep.
Instead of abundant. It like
Correct.
go get more business. You know what I'm saying?
The funny thing about my business and the whole business funding thing, like I have an agenda. It's pretty obvious. I'm pretty transparent about it. I want to work with a specific type of clientele that's business minded, business focused, right? And then I do the business funding. If they don't qualify, then I get their credit in a position to get qualified. But there's phase 3, which is like, okay, you got funded. Now what do you do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we have e-commerce. You know what I'm saying? There's automation. There's Walmart automation. There's Amazon automation. There's Facebook automation. There's Turo. There's Airbnb, short-term rentals. All these different streams of passive income. It's like phase 3 where we want to be a partner. The 60-40 thing you were explaining. We can teach you how to get multiple cars for your business. You know what I'm saying? In your business name. In phase 2. And then phase 3, hey, partner with us. I'm literally trying to turn a customer into a client.
You're qualifying into a partner.
Into a partner.
Merger,
you know what I'm saying? That's my whole mentality
man.
behind it. Yeah, there's an agenda. And
who else is going to want to partner with you than somebody who you help get to a space
Literally.
where they can actually partner with you?
Exactly.
They're going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to fuck with you.
Exactly.
You helped me get to the space where I can even have this conversation.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I'm going to partner with you. So that's where providing the good service, providing the good opportunities to those people, and then circling back when they're ready and say, hey, let's now do something together. Because the reason why they decided to pay you is because they knew that you knew something they didn't. So they already have the confidence that you're qualified and you're smart or whatever, because they paid you for something. They paid you for a service. So now it's like, hey, okay, fuck that. I don't want you to be a client no more. I want you to be a partner.
Right.
That's one of the easiest conversations to have. There's not a lot of convincing that has to be
Ain't
there.
no
because
friction because
I brought you up, bro.
Right.
Like, I got you here.
Exactly.
So it's like that's the best way. Majority of people I've gotten money from are people that I provide a service for. Where I help them find properties to flip, help them do whatever, help them get cars, help them buy whatever, and then it's like, hey, so when I got the mansion from my uncle, it wasn't like I was just his nephew. He just gave it to me for free.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, you gotta give me something. You gotta give me a little down payment first, and then you gotta give me some money every month. Half of that money that I got to give it to him, I got from a gentleman named Ramel Nurels, who's a gentleman that paid me $5,000 for real estate consulting. And he was able to take what I taught him, and this dude is a multi-millionaire. He's 27 years old, and he's very appreciative of me helping him. And when I hit him up and was like, hey, bro, I need $28,000 to get in my so he could take over this shit. 2 days he wired me the money. Because he's like, bro, like, I got this $28,000 because of partly of the information I got from you. So if you're saying that this is a good industry or business to get into, I trust you and believe you because you're part of what helped me get what I got to even give you in the first place. And Ramel, he's doing his thing, man. He's doing his thing, bro. He's 27 years old, millionaire. He's got brownstones in Brooklyn. He's got his own little community. He's doing like $100,000 a month in his community revenue, recurring fees, whatever. 27 years old. When I was 27 years old, I ain't have $100,000 a month, bro. I ain't have $100,000 a month. I was 29 years old. When I was working at Orange and Olive, making $10 an hour. So I look at him and I say, bro, you're doing stuff that I didn't even do at your age. So I'm looking at you like, yo, I'm fucking proud of you, man. I'm looking at you like, shit. If I have a son, I want him to be thinking the way that you think at your age. Because when I was your age, I was trying to party, kick it, whatever. You're disciplined. So I mean, it's Isaac Grace is a gentleman named Isaac Grace, man. He's 9 years younger than me. He's the one that actually taught me how to wholesale. If I keep a G with you. He's the one that taught me how to use certain portals to find off-market deals. It was Isaac Grace. He's 9 years younger than me. So there's a lot of things to where you have to have, like, not have pride and not think that, oh, because you're older, you just... It's like, no, there may be a young kid that knows some shit you would have never, ever thought of that could put you up on game.
Exactly.
He's almost a decade younger than me, but I'll say it to the ends of the earth. Yeah, Isaac Grace is one of the people that kind of put me on that trajectory to where I was like, oh shit, so I could use these portals, I could use public records, and I took that and did what I did. But that came from somebody who was 19 at the time when he told me that.
Right.
I was 28, he was 19.
Yeah. You could let the ego stop you from even thinking he had.
He dropped out of high school. He didn't even finish high school.
Man, that's crazy.
He didn't finish high school. And he's showing me, a dude that's almost 30, how to get it. Like, he was saying,
so what we gonna do?
He said,
so
he
got a lot of work to do tomorrow. I'm gonna be respectful. You know what I'm saying? We gonna get this content in. Tomorrow is gonna be a movie.
Yes, sir.
Right before my laptop dies, I just want to show y'all how y'all can follow him one more time. Right? I'm trying to. The faster I can post these podcasts is if I ain't gotta edit them, I ain't gotta touch them. So I'm just putting it on the screen. You know what I'm saying? This is how you can follow him on his page. And you want them to follow your other page?
Yeah, they can follow my other page. So.
Yeah. So this is how you can follow him. This is other page, you know what I'm saying? You can rent his cars. DM him, go to his website. Right here.
What's good?
We gonna get his content up too, but he follow the stories, you know what I'm saying? How they say it?
Oh, Renee Vasquez.
Renee Vasquez 44 in case people is listening. You know what I'm saying? And Delete King 850. Did you hear me good? Because I wasn't talking in the mic. You good? All right, cool. Delete King 850, deleteking850.com. And then check out his YouTube channel as well on the screen if you can see it. Tosin Oduwale.
Yes, sir. Oduwale, yes.
That's how it is. He using his real name.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Dealing with a real person. I gotta let them know who I am.
With the track record and all that. 6, 7 years YouTube.
Before the laptop, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate it. If you made it to this point in the podcast, please like and subscribe. You know, hit the notification bell for when more podcasts is ready to drop. You know what I mean? And like I said, we're going to keep the momentum going. Like, my mentors are a couple buildings away. If they're awake, I'm about to go. You know, this is the traveling podcast. We're going to pull up on them. But long story short, man, subscribe and tune in for more. Support this if y'all want to see more, if y'all want to learn. He just dropped some gems on how y'all can get started in the exotic space and how to network, raise capital, hundreds of millions of dollars at a young age. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So, man, I appreciate you.
Likewise, man. Hey, I appreciate you coming over, man.
All year, and it's a new year. But you know what I'm
right.
saying? So, we just get it started, y'all. I'm ending on that note, and peace out.
Later.